What's up, YouTubers? Welcome back to another video. We are at a stop right away. Now, today's video, I changed the positioning of the dash camera. It is now more in front of me. So in the last video, you saw on the bottom left, you could see that part of the frame I have. Oh, what's going on here? Nothing like the good old city life. You can see that little part of the frame in the bottom left, and now you should be seeing it in the right side. I'm trying my best to get a good angle so as to not get much of it, but that is actually what holds my phone, because I live in a state that is hands-free. You're not allowed to be holding and using and operating your device in your hand in the state of Virginia as of, I believe it was 2020. That law went into effect. People still do it all the time, and I know it's been a secondary offense for a while, which means only if you get pulled over for like speeding will you actually, get pulled over again for it, or can you get ticketed for it. But yeah, I also moved a little closer, although I am talking louder. Last video there may have been some things you couldn't exactly hear me say. I know what I'm saying because I said it, but you guys might not necessarily have been able to hear it because there's the car makes noise. The car makes some noise, that's for sure. So as you guys know, because you read the title of the video, you know this is going to be a story about how I failed a class in college. Yeah, I actually failed a complete course. This is a mess in front of me. I'm gonna wait for these cars to come and then I'm gonna go. So what happened? What type of course was it? It was a freshman writing course. It was a required writing course by all freshmen to take, and I had the worst professor possible. And I know a lot of people always say, no, I've had the worst professor. I'm not kidding. This is one of the worst professors I've ever had, because I retook the course. That's right. I took the course a second time, right? And the second time around, I got an A in it. Yes, a course that I failed. It wasn't, this is a yield, it wasn't by the same professor, but it was the same exact material. Can you speed up, person to my left? Actually, no, we want to go this way. Just kidding. Alright, so anyways, it's the same exact course. I got an A in the second time, and yes, I'm not going to sit here and say the professor was the reason I failed the course, because I didn't show up to class a good amount of time. I was pretty bad of a student, and writing has not been my strongest suit ever. So anyways, what happened? Okay, so here's exactly what happened. I'm stupid. I didn't really like the course. It seemed really boring, so I didn't pay attention much. I didn't go to class much, and I didn't really try hard or try at all. But in my defense, here's why. The first assignment we had to do was we had to pick a course, right? Or not pick a course. We had to pick an article, right? We had to read this article, and then we had to write a paper about this article. Here's the catch, though. You're missing your exit. Sorry. Here's the catch, though. Wow, you made your exit. I wish I had my back cam on recording so you guys could have seen that ballsy play that man just made. Here's the catch, though. This essay had to be 1,300 words, between 1,000... The article had to be between 1,300 and 1,350 words. You had a window of 50 words to play around with. Now, I don't know about you, but most people don't write articles that are between 1,300 and 1,350 words exactly. They write their article to get the information out, and then afterwards, they'll care about, like, whatever. I don't know. They'll care about, like, editing it down to a certain size, maybe adding more to make it seem more filling. But no one really aims for 1,300, 1,350. And I'm not kidding you guys. I submitted to her a paper that was like 1,296 words, and she was like, nope, it needs at least 4 more words. You can't use this article. And it was a great article. It was something about hockey. I love hockey. I'm a huge hockey dork. I talk about hockey all the time. I play hockey. I'm going to the next Washington Capitals game that's open because that's how much I love hockey. It's like one of my favorite it is my favorite sport to watch, to play, to talk about. I would have been so motivated to write such a good paper, and instead, you know what I got stuck with? A paper about a fucking car company. That's right. I had to write about like Volkswagen or some BS or something because that's the only paper I could find that had 1311 words and was good enough. So, anyways, I didn't show up to class much. I don't even think I turned the final paper in because I'm pretty sure at one point she said, yeah, even if you got 100 on the final paper, you're not passing this class. And I was like, well, then I'm not going to try. I failed the course. I had to use what was a forgive and repeat from the university. And so they would basically just pretended I never took the course, and they let me retake it, and the grade I got the second time was the final grade for that course. Now, the university I went to only gave you 2 of those, so it's not like you could just keep failing courses and taking them over again because, you know, you wanted to. Plus, I had to pay for the original course, so I paid twice for the course, actually, believe it or not, but failed it once, but I didn't get a failing grade at the end of the day. This is a very tough yield, so I'm going to speed up. I don't know why this is a yield here, because we go into our own lane. Well, that's not true. I'm sure as you guys saw, I drove into a lane. Now there's a car behind me. Does not look like a happy camper. Anyways, I retake the course a second time, and this professor was awesome. Now, the first professor, I remember both professors' names. I'm obviously not going to release any names by anyone, and I don't want to talk poorly of the first professor, but she was terrible. She was completely awful. I gave you guys a bit and a taste of what it was like to take her course, and just imagine that, but like every single day we had to take the course. And not only that, you know, I was in college. I didn't have anybody to make sure I was awake except myself. My roommate wouldn't wake me up because that's weird, like unless I asked him to, but I feel like that's kind of a weird thing. He's not my parent. He doesn't take, you know, control of me or whatnot. So anyways, it was an 8:30 course, 8:30 in the morning, so of course I never wanted to wake up, so I skipped it most of the time. I'm not saying she was a bad professor. I was also a pretty bad student, but keep in mind, if I got to write my article about my 1,296 word article about hockey, I feel like I would have done a lot better in the course the first time around. Anyways, the second time around, we start out, and I'm like, oh god, I failed this course last time, how bad it's going to be. This professor was funny. I'm talking cracking jokes at the beginning of class, just kind of doing icebreakers, making us all feel like, you know, we got to know everyone. And at this point now, because the first time I took the course was my second semester as a freshman, which means, you know, you don't do a third semester as a freshman, you go to sophomore year. So I'm now a sophomore, and I'm so awkward because, like, I don't know what it's like to really be a human at this point. I've always been told where to go and do what I'm told and all that stuff, and now I'm kind of like a sophomore in this whole class of freshmen, and I'm talking first semester, not even second semester freshmen. Second semester freshmen kind of know what's going on now. These are first semester freshmen I'm talking about now, who they're scared, they're on their own for the first, they don't know what they're doing, and then I'm just there chilling because I'm a sophomore and I don't care. Anyways, this dude was awesome. The first assignment we had to do didn't depend on 1,300 word article. And we wrote our own paper. We were given an assignment to make a creative writing piece. And by that, it literally could be anything you wanted. You could write a how-to article. You could write a, you know, like a blog style article. You could talk about the weather. You could talk about sports. So I wrote a story. This is a very clever thing that I came up with. I was in the gym, working out as a sophomore, because that's when I first started working out. And I was, you know, I was on getting my cardio in. I was on the treadmill, and I was like, you know what would be a great idea is if I wrote this story about this, like, huge war scene, this huge battle scene, and, like, you know, it's going to be this huge fight. Grenades are going to be lobbed, guns are being fired, helicopters and boats are getting called in, like all of that, you know, Call of Duty stuff that's not really real per se. Like, it's probably happened before, but like, it's not exactly how a war exactly is all the time. But I made it over dramatic, and it was spicy, and it was juicy, and it was fun. And then, like, the last paragraph talks about me going into dialogue, like talking to the reader, saying how me and my cousin and my brothers, we put our water guns down and our water balloon grenades down, and I say, like, we'll pick this up tomorrow, boys. Chills. I have chills just even remembering this story. And my professor loved it. He was like, this is one of the greatest stories I've ever read, ever. And he's like, I've been doing this for like 15 years. He's like, this story's amazing. He's like, I was so involved into it. I was so into it and everything. And then turns out it's just a story of me and my family playing with water balloons and water guns on vacation one summer. Like, it was a real life event that actually happened. Like, we were pretending it was war, you know, because we were, you know, using our water guns and balloons, and we were really, you know, fighting each other, air quotes on the fighting. We weren't really like at each other's throats or anything, but yeah, it was fun, and it was awesome, and it was like the coolest and like greatest story I could have ever written. And this professor gave me a 95 on the paper, and I gotta say, I didn't have to make many, like, you know, corrections. The first time around, the main paper I had to write by the end of the semester, she did like 1 out of like the 6 pages. She just had it all in red with all these errors and says, now copy this guide for the other 5 pages. I'm like, ma'am, if I didn't even know I was writing so poorly to the point that I needed correction on these first 5 pages, or on this first page, how am I supposed to know how to correct 5 more pages of it? Anyways, back to, you know, the second time around, I passed the class with an A. I think it was like a 96 point average. And this professor made the class fun, because now we took our articles. He paired us, well, he initially paired us with one other person, and well, he paired me up with like the cutest girl in the class. I'm not kidding. I don't know if it's because it was random, or if he was like, you know, looking out, he noticed me like checking her out, be like, all right. Turns out she actually was in a serious committed relationship with a dude who I believe they just got engaged or married or something. But anyways, if she ever ends up watching this video, she knows who she is. I'm not going to give her name out. Let's call her Jessica, because that's not her real name. So if your name's not Jessica and you remember this story and you somehow came across this video, I just want to say sorry I had a crush on you when you had a boyfriend. I mean, I never did anything about it, so it's not like, you know, things ever became awkward. I never like asked her out or anything, but like, I hope you're doing good, and I believe they just got engaged or married. I don't remember which it is. I think I'm friends with her on Facebook, and sometimes I see her updates and I'm just like, good for her. I hope you're doing well. Anyways, back to the story. After he paired us with this one person, then I believe we got a whole completely different group, if I remember that correctly. And I think it was, yeah, because it was like these 2 other girls who were like very weirdly tall, and then another guy, and he was pretty cool. And I think that was our group, or was it just the 2 girls? I swear there was a dude as well. I only remember the girls because they were really tall. The guy was like an average looking guy. The girls were really tall. It's the only reason I actually kind of remember them. I don't really remember. I think I know one of their names. I don't think I know the other one's name. I think I know one of their names only, but I'm obviously not going to say anything. Anyways, we got the cool part about this is we took all of our articles, right, and we put them all together, right, and then we made a board game out of it. A freaking board game. It was so much fun. I coded stuff, like we had ways to calculate things based off of coding that I did. It was like the coolest mashup of all my courses mixed together. Like, I got to use my coding skills, my creative art skills. Like, it was so fun. We got, I think, like a 97 on the final project, or a 98. I know I didn't think I got 100 on anything in that course, and that's not because he's a strict grader. It's because on principle he doesn't give 100s in general. He gives very high 90s to people because he wants to show that there is room for improvement, that not everything's perfect, but he still wants to give you a very good grade so that way you can you know, get out there. Greatest professor I ever had. Actually, that's not true. I had a lot of really great professors. One of the greatest professors I ever had, this man, and obviously I don't think he'd ever be watching these videos, but if he somehow does and figures out who he is, / remembers my voice, or even remembers my article for that matter, and goes, oh, I remember this guy, keep it real, dude, you were a good professor.